Ever feel like you're just drowning in data? Well, in this explainer, we're going to demystify SQL. It's the powerful language that lets you not just manage all that data, but actually have a real conversation with it. All right, let's dive in.
I mean, think about it for a second. We've got databases literally everywhere, tracking sales, storing customer info, you name it. But all that information is kind of useless unless you can ask it questions, right? So how do you actually start that conversation? Well, the answer is a language called SQL. You can think of it as the universal translator between you and your database. It lets you ask very specific questions, give commands, and get exactly what you need when you need it. Now, SQL stands for Structured Query Language, but don't let that fancy name scare you. Just imagine your data is stored in a perfectly organized digital filing cabinet. SQL is just the set of instructions you give it. You know, things like, hey, file this new document, or go find me every single folder from last year. It's that simple. So, where do we even begin? Well, before we can start asking our data any questions, we need a place to actually put it. And in the world of SQL, that means we have to build the structure first. That structure is called a table. You can think of it like a spreadsheet, really. The key thing is we have to define our columns before we can put any information into them. This is our blueprint, and we make it with a command called create table.
Let's just take a quick look at the command. It's actually pretty straightforward. We're telling the database to create a table, and we're going to call it employees. Then we just define the columns we want, a number for the ID, a space for the name, and another one for the department. And that's it. Our foundation is laid.
And there you have it. Our command has created the structure. It's an empty table, perfectly organized with our column headers, and it's just sitting there waiting for us to add some data. Okay, now that we have our table, let's learn the 4 essential commands you're going to use all the time. These are really the fundamentals of working with data in SQL. It all comes down to this really handy acronym, CRUD. That's create, read, update, and delete. These 4 basic operations, which map to the SQL commands insert, select, update, and delete, are the building blocks for pretty much everything else you're going to do. So first up is create, which in SQL means insert. Our table is empty, so let's go ahead and add our very first employee. Here's that insert command in action. See how we specify the table, employees, and then we list the values for each column in the right order. And what's the result? Boom! Our empty table now has its first row of data. Rahul from sales is officially in the system. Great, we've put data in, but how do we get it out? That brings us to read, which is done with the most common SQL command of them all, select. This is how you ask the database to show you something. And the command to see everything is just beautifully simple. Select star, that little asterisk just means all columns from employees. It's basically us asking, hey, can you show me everything in the employees table? And here's what it gives us back. The database returns exactly what we have stored. This confirms our data is right there just like we entered it.
Okay, now for update. In the real world, things change. People get promoted, details get corrected. In our case, Rahul is moving to a new department. We don't want to delete and re-add him, we just want to change his existing record.
So to modify data, we use update. We tell it which table to update and what new value to set. Now, the most important part here is the where clause. It tells the database to only change the record for the employee with ID 101. If we forgot that, we'd accidentally change everyone's department. And you can see the change right there. Rahul is now in marketing. So, working with one record is useful, but the true power of SQL really shows up when we work with lots more data. So let's quickly add a few more employees to our table to make things interesting. All right, here's our team. We've got 4 employees now, spread across 2 different departments, marketing and sales. This gives us a much better data set to play around with.
And this is where things get really, really exciting. We've mastered managing individual records. Now let's see how SQL can turn this raw list of data into actual, useful insights. Imagine your boss asks you this simple question. I mean, you could scroll through the table and count by hand, sure, but what if you had thousands of employees? That's just not going to work. You need the database to do the heavy lifting for you. And SQL has an incredibly powerful tool for exactly this kind of summary. It's called Group By, and it is a total game changer for turning raw data into meaningful information. So here's how we combine a few commands to get our answer. We select the department name and then ask for a count of all the rows. But the real magic is that last part. Group by dept. That tells the database to do a separate count for each unique department it finds. And would you look at that? Our list of 4 employees is instantly summarized. 2 in marketing, 2 in sales. In just a single line of code, we've turned a raw list of data into a crystal clear answer to a real business question. So we've really only scratched the surface today. But you now have the fundamental building blocks to communicate with data. You know how to create structures, manage your records, and even ask some powerful questions. So the real question is, now that you know the language, what are you going to ask first?